Good evening and welcome to the Good News Sunday Show. My name is Sonia McCullough Lockridge and I am your host. And I joy to come to you in this fashion. What we are doing for the month of October is we are doing what I have titled 31 Days of the Art of Engaging the Word Exegetically in Expository Fashion. 31 days. And today, incidentally, today is day number 19. So that would mean that we have 12 days left to go. And on today's date, Thursday, we are talking about exposing the truth in the introductory matter of our message. Exposing the truth in the introductory matter of a message. And so we are just going to talk a little bit about what Mr. Robinson says in regards to exposing the truth, just a little tiny bit. And he says a proposition is to be proved. So how we expose the truth in a biblical message is through a proposition in the early part or the introductory part of the message. That is how we expose the truth. Okay? So through a proposition that is positioned in the introductory matter of the message. That is how we expose the truth. Now, Mr. Chappell has some thoughts on propositions as well. And so let's just take a little quick gander at those and see what he says in regards to. And of course, so Mr. Chappell, Brian Chappell says, a sermon proposition is more than a theme. It establishes the concern that a message will address and sets the agenda for how it will be handled. Since an expository message applies biblical truth, a formal proposition also reflects a text's truth and the response it requires. So that is what Mr. Chappell has to say about a proposition. A message proposition is more than a theme. It establishes the concern that a message will address and sets the agenda for how it will be handled. Since an expository message applies biblical truth, a formal proposition also reflects a text's truth and the response it requires. So that's what Mr. Chappell has to say about propositions. Propositions in the introductory matter of the message. Propositions. Okay, and so let's just see what Mr. Hamilton has to say about the proposition. The proposition of a message is brief. A simple sentence that declares to the hearer what should be known about the theme of the sermon. The proposition can be called the message in a sentence. It embodies the single truth that the preacher, the messenger, hopes to communicate and usually includes an implied response. Everything else in the message revolves around or in some way relates to the proposition. It is this sentence which is the center of the message. And he goes on to say, the message or the sermon proposition has been called various names by different writers and preachers. Some have referred to it as the thesis, the central idea, or the big idea. among other names. Regardless of the label given to it, the proposition is absolutely crucial to a well-done message. A message without a clear proposition is like a ship without a rudder, or an automobile without a steering wheel. Keeping it on course will be very difficult, if not impossible. The result will be an unclear purpose, an unclear direction, and an unclear argument. So here are some key things that we need to keep in mind when creating a proposition for our message. It should be stated in one simple sentence, avoiding compounds or complex sentences. It should be 8 words or less, if possible. It should consist of a personal reference, you, we, each of us, plus a course of action. A suitable verb form, plus the theme of the message. It should be a persuasive statement when possible, rarely than merely being factual. The keyword method is by nature a persuasive structure, and the proposition should reflect this. It usually should reflect or be stated as a timeless truth. It should not include proper names except for deity. It should reflect the overall purpose of the message. Okay? So that is what a proposition helps us to communicate truth in the introductory matter of the message. So that is what a proposition is. And let's see what else Mr. Hamilton has to say about a proposition. A proposition often has an interrogative, and, for example, a proposition of ability usually has an interrogative of how. A proposition of ability usually has an interrogative of how. A proposition of obligation usually has an interrogative of why. A proposition of value usually has an interrogative of why as well. So there are 3 interrogatives there. 2 of them answer the question why, and then 1 answers the question of how. And so we could also say that an interrogative can also answer the question of when. So these interrogatives answer the questions of when, where, what, and how. So this is a lot. We're learning a lot. We are learning a lot in 90 days, and we will have the opportunity to apply it as well. So this is day 9. This concludes day 9 of 31 days of the art of engaging the word exegetically in an expository fashion. This is Sonia McCullough signing out for the Good News Sunday Show, Keyword Bible Studies, and the one and only Jesus.com. Thank you, and be blessed in the Lord on this very day. Thank you.